What's going on, guys? Welcome inside of our 2021 Coachman Brookstone 398 MBL BTBRV Concept Edition. This is our first initial shakedown trip. We are in Victoria, Texas, not too far from Corpus Christi, but it's definitely far enough for us to kind of shake the dust loose and see what rattles free on the trip, because there's a lot of little construction areas you have to go over on the way. You know, this RV has been great so far. You know, there's a few little things that I definitely would comment on that could be better, and we're still in the process of getting this all tidied up. My wife has her Makita vacuum there, and she's been vacuuming up any loose granules of sawdust or anything else that's laying around. Overall, though, it seems like it survived the trip well. I can tell that cabinet came open because we have a bunch of little plastic serving baskets in there, and they fell out and they were right here, so we caught it right before the slide started to damage them. And you know, a few minor little things that I'll go over real quick. Definitely nothing that's, you know, worth ruining the experience, and little things that you can probably fix yourself. So hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, so the first little thing is the bathroom door has become just a little hard to open and close, but that's kind of expected. Anytime you're in an RV, the walls shifting, things like that, it might make doors that are easy to open one day a little bit more challenging the next day, and that's kind of the case. It's not as if you have to wedge it shut, but you can definitely hear that it I don't want to use the term binds, but it definitely touches a little bit when it's trying to close. Not a big deal. What was a little bit more of a big deal is this valance right here. They made an adjustment at Seguin RV before I got it, because this valance was sitting about a ½ inch lower than this one, and the one over there was perfectly level, so obviously this one had been installed slightly crooked. And whenever they adjusted it, the bottom of this portion right here was sticking out. It seems kind of counterintuitive, but it was. So I had to pull the screw out. I found out that that screw right there wasn't actually secured into any type of a backer, so I had to move it in a little bit, and then when I put it in, it tightened into a backer. So that's one. One that I've already gone over is the trim right here on the door. That needs to be attached better. There's a fastener up here, or a nail, and there's a nail down here, but there's no nail right here. So that definitely could have been done a little bit differently. You know, these little things right here come off so easy. They don't snap on the way I'd like. I never had a problem with that in the chaparral we had, but it's just worth noting that when I was removing them, they just come off super easy. So I'm afraid one day we'll get to where we're going and one of them is going to be missing. Aside from that, we've had no plumbing issues, no plumbing leaks. Now, I've had a little bit of a plumbing issue, and it's not a major one. It's just kind of, I guess, the way something's designed, and we'll jump over to that right now. Okay, so this isn't really a plumbing issue, but it's just something to be aware of, right? So these little spray ports are on both sides of the RV. They're super cool, and they work exceptionally well. I mean, they work very, very well. The problem is the little quick connect water spout, whenever you unplug it, there's a lot of pressure here, and the water just kind of squirts everywhere for a second. So on both of them, I soaked myself just with a stream of water that came out, or at least, you know, the pressurized water spraying everywhere once I disconnected the actual coupler here. Now, I thought I would be able to do the other side a little bit smoother so that wouldn't happen. Well, but it actually made me wetter on the other side whenever I disconnected it. Something else I don't like the fact that the sewer connections are down here underneath the slide. You can get to them relatively well from this side, but typically your sewer connection to the ground, or your park connection, is going to be down here. So you have to crawl under the slide to get to that. It's not a big deal, but it's definitely inconveniencing, and I kind of would have preferred that it was either a little closer this way or a little further the other way. The power cable on the back, actually kind of like it. You know, it's worked out well because it puts me right next to the pedestal. And I think more times than not, when we get to RV parks, it's nicer to have your power connection coming off of the back because it's closer to where your power typically is. Now, of course, this isn't going to be like universal towards any park because they're all different. And in this specific park, they do position them further towards the back of each slip. But that is something worth noting. These stayed on, so very happy about that. Didn't have any problem losing my sewer connections. Coming around this side, definitely a bit of a bummer having 62 mile an hour rated tires on this unit. Definitely looking forward to upgrading those. It was a bit embarrassing whenever, you know, everyone's passing us like we're sitting still and I think they're speeding, but then I just realize that they're going 13 miles an hour faster than me, and it just looks like they're speeding because I'm going so slow. The steps worked out real well. Wife loves this top mat right here. This thing just comes in super handy. It's Velcroed on. You wipe your feet before you get into the RV. Then we have a little brush to sweep off the steps when we're getting out. So that's really, really convenient there. Now, I absolutely love this right here. This houses my power cable. It's going to house that. It's going to house a lot of other accessories that I just want to keep back here and away from the front. And it kind of puts everything together, so I don't have to unload sewer supplies before I can get to a power cord or anything like that. So that definitely has come in handy. Love my snap pads. You know, the snap pads definitely lifted the tires. Well, I wouldn't say lifted, but it definitely took some of the load off the tires. I could easily tell. I'll still put some tire chocks right here, but it's kind of cool to know with the snap pads, that rubber kind of traction and grip right there, and the padding underneath your pads is going to keep them from getting damaged, and it provides you a bit more stability in terms of, you know, your RV not moving. I put one of these little bug nets here. I got another one I got to put right here. I'll probably do that here in a second. The goal today really is to get comfortable, spend some time in it, see if there's anything that needs our attention. So far, everything's been really, really nice. Hopefully it maintains that. I have got to tell you that the sun is beating on this wall. It is like, well, it's not even that hot to the touch because it's white. But yeah, the sun is intense right now. It is crazy, crazy, crazy hot outside. What's really crazy is that the inside wall actually feels cool. And the reason I bring that up is because when you hear about Asdel and they talk about how much better it is at insulating, whether or not it's a Coachman unit or an Alliance unit or several of the other brands that use it, it is noticeably cooler on the inside than, say, the Van Lee Beacon that I had, which had a gel coat exterior sidewall and full body paint, but it did not use Asdel as the backer. So that is very, very interesting to note. So I got to update you all on something my wife told me about an hour ago. It was actually a request, and it's the first time she's ever made this request since we've been camping in Texas on a hot, sunny day. She actually said, can you turn off the air conditioners because it's getting cold in here, when it was 95 degrees outside and the sun was hitting this thing dead on. We have one tree over there, and it's not covering the RV, and it's actually cool inside. Not just like room temperature, not just, you know, marginally cool, but cold enough to where you want to turn off the air conditioning units. That's insane. So the 3 13.5 Coleman mock air conditioning systems that they put on here, all ducted, have been performing exceptionally well. I mean, so well that we're actually turning off the air conditioners, and I think at most we've had maybe 1 or 2 running at a time, just to stay comfortable inside. Very, very cool, no pun intended. But overall, you got a lot of privacy right now. So check this out. It is a super dark night out here. We have our little scare light on, or at least the step light on underneath. And then I have the porch light turned off right now. Got some speaker lights on. But I wanted to show you how bright this outside light is when it's super dark outside. Check this out. This was such an asked for thing. I feel that most manufacturers were missing the mark in terms of providing you some lighting on this side of the trailer at night, because if you have to come out here, it can be really dark and it can be really difficult to see what's going on in this area. And now when I pop my outside light on, this is what happens. And this is pretty much standard for Coachmen to put lights underneath the slide here. And those do help, but just look at all the lighting I have out here now. Very nice. And then they have these really cool LED lights coming off the front of the RV. Just really gives you some peace of mind if you have to come out at night and you have to do something and you want to be able to see. Those crickets are out. Anyways, I just wanted to follow up and kind of show you what these lights look like out at a campsite at night. And you know, this is just really awesome, and they're super bright LED lights. It's such a really, really convenient LED light strip they put up here. It didn't look that bright when it's off in the daytime and you're just kind of looking at it wondering how bright it can really be, but it truly illuminates just everything all the way out to this other slip. Very cool. And a few updates from inside. First of all, the Whisper Quiet AC units, these Coleman mock quiet cool systems that are ducted, again, work phenomenally and they're very quiet. And the door we put here with its own little threshold, or whatever you call this again, is working really, really well. Just the ability to seal off the hallway and the rest of the living room from the bedroom and bathroom works just extremely well. You have a gap there, but the only time you can see that gap is if you're at a pretty extreme angle, and we may cover it up. Some folks had said put a piano style hinge right there, but I don't really think we need that, just because it would have added cost, and at the same time it would have potentially caused creaking and other issues over time. But this works well. Again, we might put like a little seal there. They make a rubber membrane that you could probably put along there and it'd work just fine. But overall, this has worked out just tremendously well. This is probably one of my wife's favorite features, especially when she's given our little one a bath and we have some guests over, some friends. Just the ability to move from the bathroom to the bedroom back and forth without having to, you know, quickly open the door and close it. This was just phenomenal, and I absolutely love the execution of this. And so far, we're really enjoying our trip. You know, it's really nice to be able to utilize and practically use some of the ideas that Coachmen integrated with the collaboration into this fifth wheel. And we'll be out here a bit longer, so we'll be able to test some more out. Hopefully, we'll be able to put a couple loads of laundry through the cycle to see how that works as well. If we have any issues at all, I'll be sure to share them. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.